Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today I am super excited because we get our very first chance to take a look at something from Glitch Studio. I have been promoting quite a few of their releases, and they have some incredible stuff that they are releasing and are going to be releasing soon, but their very first initial release here is the Jurassic World Rebirth Spinosaurus. You can see it is part of the art collection, and it is the standard version. There were two different versions of this Spinosaurus available. I don't know for sure if any are still available, but I will of course include links in the description to where you can check them out and, inquire further about still being able to purchase them. If not, you can always grab their upcoming releases, which will be equally as incredible. But you can see as far as the box art goes, you've got a really cool shot of the Spinosaurus looking insane right here on the front. You can also see again the Glitch Studio logo. You can see some information over here, and then of course the name, the scale, all of that stuff up here. Up on the top, again, Glitch Studio. On the underside, just a little bit of information about Glitch Studio, and then on the back, it's a little bit torn up because of the Postal Service not handling my stuff with care. And here on the back, you can actually see some information about the sculptor of the figure, which is also really cool. So let's go ahead, pop this box open, and check out our Spinosaurus. So inside the packaging, we have a little packet here, basically a little bag, and we can see we've got some stuff in here. So let's open that up and see what we have. Go ahead and pull that out. So the very first thing you can see here is a nice little message from Glitch Studio. Of course, basically just thanking you for purchasing the figure, which is incredibly cool to include that, and obviously it's very well done, very professional, and of course we have the Glitch Studio logo on the other side. On top of that, you as well get a card, and we can see the Spinosaurus name as well as a nice shot of the figure, and then some information. Also the fact that it is limited to only 25 pieces, so that's something to keep in mind in the future if you are interested in grabbing one. You definitely might want to get on grabbing them as soon as possible because, again, they are really quite limited. And then again, we have the Glitch Studio logo on the back. You also have a little stand included here so that you can help a little bit of balance for the figure in case you have any stability issues. But we, of course, as well have the star of the show. And wow, is pretty much all I can say when bringing this in. You want to talk about one of the absolute most impressive first releases that I have ever seen from a company. This has got to be it. And you're also going to go ahead and say, when it comes to a Jurassic World Rebirth Spinosaurus, like, man, did they ever nail the look of this one. That is absolutely fantastic. The sculpt and even the paint. Again, considering this is, to my knowledge, the first release from Glitch Studio as far as, like, a dinosaur model goes. I don't know, like, prior to the Spinosaurus, I had never heard of them, so I don't know a whole lot about them. But when it comes to being the first dinosaur model that I've seen from them, the paint apps on this are next level beautiful, like really, really well done. I feel like most companies kind of take a long time to get to this point as far as the quality of the paint apps go for this figure, but they've come basically out of the gate firing on all cylinders with this one. So actually, let me go ahead and just readjust the camera. Before I even do that, I'm actually curious if it can balance well, which we can very clearly see it does. So that stand is basically included just to help balance and, again, maybe, stop it from falling if something happens to, like, smack into your cabinet. But clearly it can stand perfectly fine on its own either way. But bringing the Spinosaurus up here nice and close to the camera and getting a closer look at it, man, this thing is unreal. The sculpt is really well done. I love the fact that the Spinosaurus in Rebirth has a bit of like a little crocodilian sort of a look and feel to it, and you can really see that portrayed in the head sculpt of this Spino. It looks really good. You can also see the nostrils right there, some very impressive skin texture, nice larger scales down here on the lower jaw, and the paintwork again has been so nice and expertly applied here in the face. It just looks extremely realistic. They've done a very good job of applying numerous variations of color and potentially looking like we've got like washes and everything added here to the face to make sure that that entire head sculpt is one of the most realistically painted head sculpts that I've seen. You can really see that here down on the lower jaw as well. I also love the fact that we do have like some injuries, which you can see sculpted out and painted. Like there's one, you've got one back here. Really little things like that just, again, absolutely draw me in and appreciate a figure even more. We've also got the teeth, which are all sculpted really nicely, also painted really nicely. They have an extremely realistic look to them. They definitely have like that actual, I'm trying to get my camera to focus, that actual genuine look of real teeth, which again helps to make this model somehow even more impressive, which I really like. If you come down here to the lower jaw, again, look at how well done the actual paintwork and sculpt work of the teeth are. The teeth as well have a very crocodilian look to them, and the paintwork of the inside of the mouth, again, extremely well done. There's a very nice gloss coat in there. You can see the same for the tongue. You've got some variation of color. Definitely have applied some washes to the tongue, and the detail does not cease as you move through the inside of the mouth. It is absolutely as mind-blowing as it gets, and I love the Spinosaurus having the mouth open. You can see the tongue kind of extended up and curving, just showing off a lot of life when it comes to the model and its positioning. You can also see that the eyes are painted really nicely. The paintwork, I noticed, is extremely carefully applied. And I would say perfectly applied. Like there is just zero sloppiness that I can see when it comes to this. But the eye also has a very nice gloss coat, and you can again see how good the paintwork is on this side of the Spinosaurus as well. If you come up here to the top of the head sculpt, you can see that we start to kind of pick up this yellowish tone as we move down along the body. We can also see again a really nice scale detail up here on the top of the head. I was going to say camera focus, but you can see the scale detail is also not only really nicely sculpted, but brought out beautifully when it comes to the way it's painted. And again, as you move back, you've got those nice yellowish tones. You also have a little bit of a dry brushing as we lead back there. We can see a few osteoderms poking up here on the side of the neck. The dinosaur has its head turned toward its left, so you can see all of the wrinkles and creases in the skin, exactly as you would expect to see. Again, showing off that turn in the neck and head of the dinosaur. Really smooth transition as you move down here to the underside of the Spinosaurus. The scales, again, are brought out perfectly when it comes to the way that they are painted. You can also see curvatures to the skin here hanging in the throat, again showing off that turn in the neck, continuing to show that off really nicely. But they've done a very good job of applying a dark wash here to the underside, again making all of the scales just pop perfectly. As you move down here into the arm, you can see the arm sculpt looking really good. The skin texture continue to look, again, very realistic, and the paintwork, again, same deal. They've done a very good job of applying like layers of paint to really make this thing look super lifelike. As we move down into the fingers, you can see the fingers are sculpted really impressively. Again, nice scoots down the fingers, and again, when it comes to the actual fine detail of this has got to be one of the most impressive sculpts that I've seen when it comes to capturing so much detail. I love the way that the skin is kind of stretching there between the fingers, because it does have a little bit of like a webbing sort of a look to the fingers, and you can see how the skin is kind of stretching because one finger is lifting up. That is seriously incredible detail. We can also see the claws not only feature very impressive fine detail, but do have a really nice genuine sharp look to them and are painted with a very nice glossy black, which helps them to shine very nicely. As we move back up here into the body of the Spinosaurus, again, the fine detail is out of this world. The scale detail looks so impressive. We've got more osteoderms as we move through, and of course we lead up into the sail of the Spinosaurus. And as we do so, you can see, like the tops of the spines here kind of poking out of the top of the sail, but we also see the very impressive scale detail, which again is exceptionally vibrant here moving through the figure. We also have the black that patterns through, as well as different variations of yellows and even kind of like hints of like orangish tones. They've done such a good job of transitioning the colors back and forth in a really realistic way, but of course this area definitely has a very nice element of flashiness to the Spinosaurus, but also, again, looks exactly as I recall from the trailers for Rebirth. So again, very nice looking paintwork that, Again, looks about as lifelike as it's honestly going to get. Moving down here, you can see the skin sort of stretching off of the stomach a little bit. As we lead back into the leg, you can see more osteoderms, more very nice scale detail. We can also get a good sense of the musculature, really nicely displayed again, but not overly defined, so it does look very realistic. Leading down, you've got the kneecap right there in the front of the leg, nice big bulging calf muscle here on the rear of the leg, as well as some creasing in the skin and wrinkling in the skin there in the joint of the knee, again because of the movement of the leg. Moving down, you continue to see again a really smooth transition back to this lighter tone, basically of the underbelly and also on the back of the legs. Leading into the foot sculpt, again, the foot sculpt is super realistic looking as far as the paintwork goes. Really impressive as far as the actual detailing goes. You've got some scoots moving down the toes, also some smaller, finer scales as you move along the sides of the toes and then into the back of the foot. The nails, again, are painted with that nice kind of black tone, but there's also like a brown that's been added to it to give a little variation of color to the claws, which is a very nice touch. Even the undersides of the feet that my camera refuses to focus on. Again, really impressive detailing, very impressive paintwork down there as well. And then as you move out here under the Spinosaurus, again, the detail looks fantastic. They've done such a good job, again, of painting this, applying a nice lighter tone to the underside. You can see the cloaca right there as you move along all the way out into the tail. A bit of a crocodilian sort of a look here to the skin texture of the tail, which again looks really good on the figure. As we lead out, there's also kind of like a striping effect that you can see, a really subtle striping that leads out there toward the end of the tail. And of course, we've got that paddle-like tail that leads out with that very nice striping effect leading the entire way through. And I also, again, love the fact that they've applied like oranges and yellows as you lead out. There's also a very nice curve to the tail, which my camera refuses to, I was gonna say kind of refuses to focus on, but we've got it now. And you can see how nice the actual turn and tilt to the tail looks from up above. When you look at it from behind, again, you can really get a nice appreciation for how gorgeous the curvatures of the tail are. And then as we lead back over to the opposing side of our Spino, you can again see another injury right up here on the snout, which is again a really nice touch. You've got another one down here. Definitely something I would expect to see when it comes to like the realism of a dinosaur model. Moving back into the neck, you can see again a bit more tensing, a bit more stretching to the skin because the Spinosaurus again is turning its head toward the left, so that's a very nice addition as well. And then moving up, you've got some more osteoderms following along, that gorgeous sail yet again here on this side with the very nice patterning as you move along that sail, but then moving down into the body, and again we've got those darker tones. The arm is in a little bit of a different position as far as what we see on the other side, but for the most part pretty close. Same way that the finger is kind of lifting up and stretching that skin there in between the fingers, the webbing of the fingers. You lead back, you can also see that this leg is taking a step forward here on this side, which is just ever so slightly more forward than what we see on the opposing side. You again have that absolutely beautiful foot sculpt again right there with the very impressive paint apps. I think that's, I knew the sculpt was going to be incredible just from the initial images, but I'm super impressed with how good the actual paint apps are on the final product. Beyond impressive, I would say. And then, of course, you've got all sorts of wrinkles and creases leading up from the thigh as you lead back out into the tail here of the Spinosaurus all the way out. So when it comes to a Jurassic World Rebirth version of a Spinosaurus, that is about as picture perfect and beautiful, I think, as you are going to find anywhere. Now, when it comes to the actual size, I'm going to have to put it forward a little bit because being 1/35th scale on a Spinosaurus, it's very nicely sized, so we have to kind of put the head out of the screen a little bit to try to get a size. So for a length from the snout to the tail, you are looking at right around 14 3/4 inches, or about 37, maybe 37.5 centimeters. And then for a height, you've got about, I'd say around 6 1/4 inches, maybe slightly under, or about 16 centimeters. For a size comparison, There is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Glitch Studios Spinosaurus, and you can see that it very obviously has some impressive size to it. You can also see just generally how photogenic this Spino is. Like, it looks so good over there, kind of coming down for a bite on the Colovosaurus. It really is the type of model that I could imagine some incredible photography being possible if you took this one out into the woods. Now, obviously, when it comes to a comparison with one of the other Rebirth Spinosaurus figures that are available at this point in time, we have the tail thrashing version from Mattel, which is significantly larger, but I think that was pretty much to be expected. But we've also got the 12-inch basic version of the Spinosaurus, which is much closer to the size of the Glitch Studios version, but you can also see that the 12-inch basic version looks horrible in comparison to the Glitch Studios release. We've also got the Spinosaurus Danger Set version from Mattel next to the Glitch Studios version, and this time you can see that the Spino from Mattel is a little bit bigger. Then past meets present as we have the older version of the Nanmu Spinosaurus stepping in next to the Glitch Studios Rebirth version, and you can see there is a little bit of difference in size, but it is also just really cool to be able to see the two different designs from the Jurassic franchise here next to each other. Really cool to be able to have a really good high quality model of both of these. And then when it comes to just a few random Spinosaurus comparisons, we have the GR Toys version, aka the How Long Good version of the Spinosaurus. We've also got the Papo Spinosaurus as well, which is the newer version of that dinosaur they had released. There is also the TNG Spinosaurus, which we can see is pretty similar in size overall. And then one final comparison with the Hammond Collection Spinosaurus, which again is obviously a lot larger, as that figure is just ridiculously huge. So this brand new Glitch Studios Jurassic World Rebirth Spinosaurus is beyond fantastic. And when it comes to like my introduction to a company, there is a very, very small amount of companies that have been able to produce a model of this quality as my introduction to them. This thing is incredible, and by far, even if we get lots more of this Spinosaurus, I feel like very few will even come close to the quality of this release. The sculpt is so nicely done. It looks pretty much exactly as the Spinosaurus does in Rebirth from what I can recall. Again, I've only really seen the trailer a few times, so it's not like I've seen the movie and I'm an expert, but it looks pretty much spot on as far as what I am familiar with when it comes to the Rebirth Spinosaurus. On top of that, the actual fine detail is super nicely done. It is as highly detailed of a dinosaur model as I think you can find, showing off every ounce of scales, osteoderms, skin folds, stretches, tensing, musculature. Everything is found on this model and just, again, perfectly applied. The movement of the dinosaur is also perfectly shown off in the sculpt as well, and the paintwork is some of the most impressive that I have seen in hand, in person, probably ever when it comes to a model like this. It is really impressive. There's so much variation of color, so much depth to the paintwork, so much realism as well. They've done a great job of adding in, gloss coats to the inside of the mouth, the eyes, the claws, everything like that. And they've also given it a very nice, very dynamic and memorable pose as well, which, as I already stated, is perfect for, display purposes, but also when it comes to dino toy photography. So to say I am impressed would be a massive understatement. This thing is incredible. So if you are interested in this, you can of course contact Glitch Studios to see if there are any more available. I do believe that at the very least the standard version, which is the one that I have here, I think I had heard them saying it was sold out, but you can always inquire with them to be sure. But as I already mentioned, there are so many more figures coming. I know they have already revealed an incredible raptor that is also based on the Rebirth design that will be coming at some point in the near future that you definitely can scoop up as soon as it releases. So make sure you check them out again through the links that I will include in the description, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.